This is the Gospel America Television Network, broadcasting worldwide on Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV, and online at www.gospelamerica.net. Download our app from the App Store or from Google Play and watch us on your tablet or smartphone 24 hours a day.
Welcome to Real Talk with the Jenkins, with Dr. G, Gary Jenkins, and Lady MJ, Marcella Jenkins. And now, let's join Real Talk with the Jenkins. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Real Talk with the Jenkins. I'm Dr. G.
I'm Lady MJ.
And we are the Jenkins. Now, coming up on Real Talk, we've got a special guest. And I didn't know he was a comedian, too. But anyway, he is the Chief of Police for the San Angelo Police Department. You're going to be meeting him in a moment, Chief Frank Carter. But first, let's go to a commercial break. We'll be right back. Angels Care Hospice is here in San Angelo, Texas, serving West Texas. Here's Executive Director Jennifer Price.
We're offering hospice care to friends, family, neighbors, anybody that needs help in their home as far as health care and hospice needs.
Account Executive Donna Acock explains why Angels Care Hospice is attending the Cactus Market Days in San Angelo.
We're here at Cactus Market Days to meet our community. We want to make sure everybody knows that we're here. We're providing a blood pressure clinic today if anybody wants to check in on their vital signs. We're happy to do that. We also provide educational services. We're happy to do in-services about end-of-life planning, hospice care, advanced directives. We're available to answer any questions that you have about end-of-life care. We're always available for you, and we want to be a resource to our community. So feel free to call us, email us, check out our website, or submit a referral.
You can visit the Angels Care Hospice website by going to angelscarehospice.com. And by the way, Angels Care is looking for you.
We're always looking to build our team and add to our team. So right now we're looking for a full-time RN, and as well as nurses aides and anybody that can help give comfort and care to our patients and families at home.
So if you're looking for an exciting and wonderful place to work, consider joining Angels Care Hospice in San Angelo. Visit our website at www.angelscarehospice.com. Join us. We're looking for you.
Our website is www.angelscarehospice.com, and our phone number is 325-627-5663.
So come on and join the Angels team by calling 325-627-5663 or visit our website at angelscarehospice.com. Call us now at 325-627-5663.
My name is Travis with Grace Transmissions. Here at Grace Transmissions, we have a reputation for customer service, and we've been serving the San Angelo area for over 45 years. Our focus is you, the customer. So whether you need a diagnostic check or a complete transmission service repair, we're here for you. Grace Transmissions, where service meets quality, and that's our #1 priority.
We are here when you need us.
Grace Transmissions, 1202 Pulliam Street, San Angelo. Gethsemane, the Garden Church presents Jam for the Lamb Part 2, an old school musical you don't want to miss, featuring Gary Givens of San Antonio and Chase Stallings of Houston. It's all happening at the McNeese Convention Center, June 19th at 6 p.m. Doors open at 5:30. Get your tickets by calling Tracy McClendon at 325-227-8916 or Evelyn Smith at 325-944-8256 or pay at the door. Tickets are $25 12 and up and $10 ages 6 to 11 and includes good food. That's the Jam for the Lamb, Part 2, 6 p.m., June 19th at the McNeese Convention Center, San Angelo.
You drag your kids all over town to this doctor's office and that dentist's office. And for women's health, there's still another doctor's office. For behavioral or mental health, there's still another office. At La Esperanza Clinic, all of your family's health care is in one place. La Esperanza Clinic. New year, healthy you. Come visit us today.
And now back to Real Talk with MJ and Dr. G.
We're back. You're watching Real Talk with the Jenkins. I'm Dr. G.
I'm Lady MJ.
And we are the Jenkins. Now, someone who's not a Jenkins, but he's a good friend. He is the Chief of Police of the San Angelo Police Department, Chief Frank Carter. We want to certainly welcome you, sir, to Real Talk with the Jenkins. And one of the things that we want to stop and acknowledge, we want to dedicate this program to all of the men and women of the San Angelo Police Department and all of our law enforcement officials on the state, the county, the federal level, and of course right here at home. And Police Week just ended recently, and I want to ask you, Chief Carter, what was different about this Police Week compared to maybe the one last year?
Well, Police Week is always a time when we honor those that have fallen, our heroes that have fallen in the line of duty. And, you know, there's many not only in Texas, but throughout the nation, and we honor their service, you know, no matter who they are and what uniform they wore. And ironically, during this Police Week on a Monday, Police Week actually started Sunday. On a Monday, there was a terrible incident there in Eden, Texas, where 2 deputies were killed in the line of duty. So
Yeah.
That made it especially hard for Police Week. We pray and think about these fallen heroes every day, but we emphasize that week when we honor those. But to have those 2 deputies in our own backyard shot and killed in the line of duty, it made it a very, even more emotional week and brought a lot of stress into the families.
Well, we've been praying for the families of the 2 deputies that were killed recently, and we're going to continue to pray for all of our police officers, because you guys put your lives on the line every day to protect and serve, as they say, without using a cliche there, but you put your lives on the line every day, and you don't know what you're going to run into when you are out there. And
you know, this profession is extremely dangerous. It always has been, but when you have an incident like that, especially that close to home, it just makes it even harder. You know, the applicants in this profession are way down, and you have an incident like that. You know, it hits the minds of others. Why don't I want to be a police officer and put myself in danger? Mm-hmm. The family, the wife, the husband starts to think, you know, what's going to happen to you? You know, if you go out there and you know, something happens and you get killed in the line of duty. So it makes it very difficult.
Okay, well, let's talk about, let's switch to a more, I guess, a regular routine, so to speak. What's it like being a police officer, especially for you? I mean, you know, you're the boss. You get up every morning and you putting that uniform on, and you've got how many officers in the department that you're?
About 170 running.
170 officers that you are in charge of, and that's got to be a weighty matter. So what's your day like?
Well, on top of the 170 sworn officers, we've got a lot of, you know, civilian personnel, so about a total of 220 employees. So, you know, it's about all about putting people in the key positions and giving them tools to do their job. Mm-hmm. You know, that department can run without me, and it's all about putting people in the right places, having the right supervisors. But as the chief of police, you know, even though these officers have the training, they're adults and they're held accountable for their actions, everything they do out there is my responsibility, as we've seen in the past. So, you know, it carries a heavy burden. I mean, it's a great honor to serve, but oftentimes it's very difficult as well.
How many police officers do you Is your staff at full capacity, I should say?
At full capacity?
Yeah.
What's authorized strength is 180 officers by city council.
Okay. So you recently had a graduating class. We went to the academy, and the new officers got their badges and were pinned on by their family members. What do you tell a new recruit or a new person who either is thinking about being a police officer, or maybe they just joined? What do you say to somebody and maybe their family members about the job? There's a lot of stress in the job. You mentioned that. There's a lot of stress in the job, and a lot of people just don't know what it's like until they enter the arena, so to speak.
You know, there's no greater time than getting to graduate some of those cadets and into the occupation of the profession of police work. That's one of the more exciting things I do as a chief, get to actually read the oath to them. And I recall sitting in that same seat that they were the other day, you know, nearly 29 years ago. And, you know, you're eager and you're out, you want to go save the world at that point in time. But, you know, as you progress through your career, you begin to acknowledge that you're not going to solve all the problems. And actually, you can become very cynical real easy, because as an officer, you're only dealing with the worst of the worst. And a lot of times you don't see it.
Yeah, well, that can be pretty tough.
It is very tough. And, you know, for the families, there's always going to be things that you'll never understand that officer does. There's a lot of things that he's going to see that he don't want to talk about, and he don't want the family to know what he sees. So it's a very difficult, but it's also a very rewarding profession. You do this job and you do it right. There's nothing more rewarding in this profession.
You've been with the department, you said 29 years.
Close to 29. This October will be 29.
You don't look old enough to be here. 29.
So you just had a graduating class. How many hours do they have to attend?
It's pretty close to 920 hours of classroom work. Once they graduate the academy and they've completed that, they ride with an officer for a total of 16 weeks before they go out on their own.
So when you hear about all of the craziness that's going on across America, we're very fortunate here in San Angelo that we have officers that, and many of them we know, that are out there. You don't hear the type of scandals that are going on in San Angelo that you hear in other parts of the country. What do you attribute that to?
You know, when I go talk, you know, we're not immune from mistakes. You know, we're human just like everybody else, and it's how you react to those mistakes when you train yourself. But we're very fortunate here, and you're right, we don't have those big scandals and things of that nature. And one of the things that I preach with these cadets when I'm giving my presentation or speech is be a part of your community. You know, whether it's Boy Scouts, whether it's your church, whether, you know, you're the coach for the baseball team, whatever it is, be a member of the community. That's what these citizens want to see. They want to see you out of uniform and see that you're just like them, you're a normal person. So, you know, with that being said, we're very fortunate here with the officers. We have one of the best police forces, in my opinion, in the United States. But by the same token, we've got one of the best communities to work in.
The San Angelo is an outstanding community. That's what drew Marcella and me to come here.
Very supportive of law enforcement, first responders, the military, and very appreciative of that. And, you know, after the incident happened that I mentioned where the two deputies shot Monday, Tuesday, a couple of my assistant chiefs and I went to go eat, and there was no less than 10 people trying to pay for our meal.
Wow.
And just the outpouring of the citizens wanting to contribute a meal to the deputies, the officers, the first responders, because of the fallen officers.
The people here seem to be not only supportive, but there's a different sensitivity that I see here that I haven't seen in other parts of the country. And in fact, I'm impressed by it. I love it. But what do you see as the biggest challenge here? When you were at the police academy, I heard you state to the new officers that you can do all the good, but all it takes is one mess up, screw up.
That's correct.
You want to elaborate on that? Because I thought that was very powerful when you said that.
We have a great relationship with the community, but that doesn't mean it stops. We have to continue to work on that every day. And I preach to them, just like you said, you can do 1,000 good things to get a thank you, and it takes one bad incident and you tarnish the department, not only here, but around the nation, as you've seen up north. It takes one incident like that to set us all back. And, you know, we've made strides to try to improve and change the badge, and it just sets us back.
What do you say to a person who says, I don't trust the police because of all the negative stuff that's been going on? How do you talk to a person and get them to understand that, you said it earlier, that we're people too?
Sure. You know, people have different opinions, but that's where we come in and try to get out front of an incident.
Okay.
Showing transparency with different individuals or groups, you know, around the community, and get out front of it. And when you continue to have that relationship and you open dialogue, your trust is beginning to develop. So I think that's one of the things that contribute to our great relationships here in the community.
Okay. That was amazing. When we went to the city council meeting this week, a young lady came up, and she looked to be about maybe in her 20s, I think she said she was. She looked younger, but she just came up to thank us for our service, and I was like, oh, wow, thank you. Just as, and she was going on to say, we really appreciate you. So even the young people, you know, stop to say thank you.
You know, there's not a day go by that, you know, somebody doesn't reach out and thank me for the service, or they're reaching out to me, hey, I saw an officer out here, he did a great job, or, you know, he was out here changing their tires.
I actually saw, this is not a PR campaign. I actually saw, I'm Eyewitness News, I actually saw a police officer, I don't know his name, but he had a car pulled over, and I'm thinking, well, maybe he's writing a ticket or whatever. He's down there squatting down, helping the motorist, you know, fix the tire. And I've seen other officers doing things. You remember when we had the tornado?
Yes, sir.
That was an astounding display of community spirit, both citizens and police officers working together, because, I mean, that was another example where police officers were out there helping people get out of harm's way first, and then they were helping to get meals to people. They were helping to do all kind of things like that. I'm just amazed at how
it's amazing how the entire community comes together in an emergency situation like that. But, you know, whether it's somebody ran out of gas and they're running down there getting a few bucks of gas in a gas can to help them get on their way, it's just amazing. And we make sure that the officers are aware of that. Usually I track down who it was. It happened here. I don't exactly know who the officer was, but we'll make that effort to find out who that officer was and let you know.
Yeah. Well, I asked you earlier what your day was like, and I think I kind of got sidetracked a little bit, but what's it like for you every day? You get up, what time do you start in the morning?
It depends. Some days a little later, others some days a little early. But my work week 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. You know, I'm on Facebook, so everybody knows how to get a hold of me. I got 110,000 bosses.
110,000?
Elected official. I guesstimated that to be the population, so I got 110,000 bosses.
I hate to tell you this, but I'm one of them.
So with that being said, I mean, a normal day for me, I get embarrassed to even talk about it because I'm not even really a police officer. That's the way I feel. You know, being on the administrative side, you know, I go in and sign documents and approvals, and most of the rest of my day is meetings. But I do make time. I'm not strictly an office person. I can't sit there 8 hours a day, so I'm out every day driving in my car and meeting people and checking on the officers.
Okay. Well, we've got some more questions we're going to ask you in a moment, but we're going to take a break. You're watching Real Talk with the Jenkins. I'm Dr. G.
I'm Adrian J.
And we are the Jenkins.
Real Talk with the Jenkins. We'll be right back after these messages.
My name is Travis with Grace Transmissions. Here at Grace Transmissions, we have a reputation for customer service, and we've been serving the San Angelo area for over 45 years. Our focus is you, the customer. So whether you need a diagnostic check or a complete transmission service repair, we're here for you. Grace Transmissions, where service meets quality, and that's our #1 priority.
We are here when you need us.
Gray's Transmissions, 1202 Pulliam Street, San Angelo. Gethsemane, the Garden Church presents Jam for the Lamb Part 2, an old school musical you don't want to miss, featuring Gary Givens of San Antonio and Chase Stallings of Houston. It's all happening at the McNeese Convention Center, June 19th at 6 p.m. Doors open at 5:30. Get your tickets by calling Tracy McClendon at 325-227-8916 or Evelyn Smith at 325-944-8256 or pay at the door. Tickets are $25 12 and up and $10 ages 6 to 11 and includes good food. That's the Jam for the Lamb Part 2, 6 p.m. June 19th at the McNeese Convention Center, San Angelo.
You drag your kids all over town to this doctor's office and that dentist's office. And for women's health, there's still another doctor's office. For behavioral or mental health, there's still another office. At La Esperanza Clinic, all of your family's health care is in one place. La Esperanza Clinic, New Year, Healthy You. Come visit us today.
And now back to Real Talk with MJ and Dr. G.
We're back. You're watching Real Talk with the Jenkins. I'm Dr. G.
I'm Lady MJ.
And we are the Jenkins. And somebody that's not Jenkins, and we told you that earlier, is Chief Frank Carter of the San Angelo Police Department. And you said you had a couple of questions that you wanted to ask the Chief.
Well, getting back to the cadets, I would say, this class we had, how many to graduate?
There was 8.
8, okay. How many did you start off with?
Actually, there started with 8, there was actually 7.
Okay. Do they, once they get in there, do they just feel like they can't do it, it's too hard, or?
You know, yeah, they'll get halfway through the academic part or even actually hit the street riding with an officer, and a lot of times they're not used to seeing some of the things that we have to deal with as police officers. And case in point, one cadet, I mean, there were several deaths that he responded to, and he just decided that's not for him. Also, the friction that's going on in the U.S. right now, and the concerns of the family members and everything else. You know, why do this? Why expose myself to the dangers where I can go get a job somewhere else and not have to worry about, or my wife worry about, or my husband worry about me not coming home tonight and seeing my kids.
I knew somebody that was actually trying to become a police officer. He wanted to be a police officer so bad. But so I want to understand, just to get to the point where you're going to take class, there's a math part you got to take that's kind of difficult.
There is an academic test you got to take and a physical agility test you got to take. And then, you go through the background, and then you got to go take a polygraph, and then you got a psychological exam, and you got an oral. So there's quite a few steps there and quite a few hurdles that you got to get over to even be accepted into the academy. So.
Yeah.
Now, how long is the academy?
The academy is about 6 or 7 months. And then, prior to there, just the hiring process is 4 months. And then you got another 16 weeks after that riding somebody. So it takes about a year from the amount of, from when they apply to actually they're ready to go out on their own.
So when do you actually get hired? After you graduate, or how does that work?
You're actually, you're an employee with the city and actually drawing a salary once you're going through the academy. But you're not actually hired as a police officer until you graduate the state test, which is the certification of TCO state test. And then you're sworn in. That's when you officially become an apprentice officer.
So have you seen anybody get to the point where they go through the whole class, but they can't pass that state exam?
In fact, I told you we started with 8 and only 7. And we did have one that failed the state exam.
Now, when they take the state exam, and they get their certification. What exactly is it that they're being certified for? Knowledge of state statutes, knowledge of application of law, or how does that work?
It's all the above. You know, the state test is combined with you know, the transportation code, the penal code, basically everything that they're taught to the two TCLO standards in the basic category.
So we just talking about police officers that, you know, driving on the street, but we have another important phase of our department, and that's 911.
Oh, yeah.
And from what I understand, it's hard to keep people there.
It's even harder over there. You know, those are the heroes behind the scenes. You know, I couldn't do that job. They get yelled at, screamed at, you know, several times a day. And it's very stressful. The 911 calls, they're the first to hear, you know, that family member or that caller, you know, it could be, you know, somebody shot. So they're the first ones to hear all that.
So I know that we visit the 911 Emergency Operations Center periodically, and I got to tell you, I tried my best to focus on how do they learn how to listen to stuff and then dispatch the nearest unit and describe what's going on so the officer gets the information, as much information as possible. And I got to tell you, I salute the men and women that are over there. You got Lieutenant Pucci over there and Sergeant Carpenter, and you got all the 911 emergency operators that are there. And I want to throw a big kudo out to you guys because you do a great job.
Yes.
And
They're excellent multitaskers. Let me
multitasking. see that? Now that's why I would fail at that job. I'm not a good multitasker. But these guys are on the phone, they're listening, they're grabbing information, they're putting stuff in the computer.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing to me how coordinated they are.
Still, they fall under my leadership or my role. But yes, they are in itself their own. But we have two supervisors over there from the police department, Lieutenant Pucci, you mentioned, and Sergeant Carpenter. The rest are civilian employees.
Okay.
Well, how long, what's your longest date going with them?
The longest date, probably about 20 years.
Wow.
But you jump down below that, a lot of them are a lot younger than that.
Well, we're just about out of time. Look how fast that time goes. I can't believe it. That the time has gone by that fast. You told me I only had 29 minutes.
I think we might have exceeded that. But I'll let you fly.
Okay. We want to thank you again,
Thanks for
Chief
having me.
Carter, for being with us. Our special guest is the Chief of Police for the San Angelo Police Department, Chief Frank Carter. And we thank God for him and for all of the officers, the men and women of the San Angelo Police Department. And we certainly, our hearts and our prayers go out to the families of the deputies that were killed in Eden recently. And we're going to continue to pray for all of our officers as we dedicate this show to law enforcement officials everywhere. You're watching Real Talk with the Jenkins. I'm Dr. G.
I'm Lady MJ.
And we are the Jenkins.